CompTIA Tech Plus FC0-U71 Practice Exam. Assuming that you have studied and are now well versed in all the topics outlined in the CompTIA Tech Plus exam objectives, then you are ready for the next step in your certification journey. This video is filled with 200 plus questions that closely resemble the real exam and will help you to gauge your readiness. So are you prepared to test your knowledge? Great, let's begin. Question 1. When using a graphical user interface to open a file, which factor is most critical in determining which application will be used to open it? The answer is A. File extension. The file extension is the most important factor because it tells the operating system which application should open the file by default. For example, docx files are typically associated with Microsoft Word, and JPG files are usually opened in an image viewer. Without the correct file extension, the OS may not know how to handle the file, resulting in an error or a prompt to select an application. This behavior is managed by the OS File Association settings, which links extensions to specific programs. Question 2. In database terminology, which of the following best describes a record? The answer is A. A collection of related fields that represents a single item or entry. In a database, a record is a group of related data fields stored together as one unit, typically representing a single entity such as a customer, product, or transaction. For example, a customer record might contain fields for name, address, phone number, and email. Records are stored as rows in a table, with each column in that table representing a specific field. Question 3. Which of the following devices is specifically designed to extend the range and coverage of a wireless network? The answer is C. Access point. An access point links to a wired network and broadcasts a wireless signal, enabling more devices to connect while also expanding the network's range. It acts as a bridge between the wired and wireless segments, improving coverage in areas where signals from other network devices cannot reach. Question 4. A company learns that a critical security flaw has been discovered in a commonly used application. Which of the following actions is the most effective way to address this vulnerability? The answer is D. Apply updates. Applying updates is the best way to secure software against a known vulnerability because patches often contain fixes that close security gaps. Vendors release these updates to address weaknesses before attackers can exploit them. Keeping software up to date is a core part of system maintenance and security best practices, reducing the risk of malware infections and data breaches. Question 5. An IT administrator suspects that employees may have visited unauthorized websites during work hours. Which of the following would be the best source to confirm this activity? The answer is B. Web browser history. Web browser history records the websites visited by a user, making it a primary source for verifying whether inappropriate or unauthorized content has been accessed. Administrators can review the history to see URLs, timestamps, and sometimes page titles. While system logs and other tools can track different aspects of system activity, browser history directly reflects the user's online web activity. Question 6. An organization implements a new rule requiring employees to change their passwords at least once every 90 days. Which of the following security practices does this describe? The answer is C. Password expiration. Password expiration is a security policy that sets a time limit on how long a password can be used before it must be changed. Requiring users to change passwords on a regular schedule helps prevent stolen or compromised credentials from being used indefinitely. This policy is often combined with other password best practices, such as complexity and history restrictions, to strengthen overall account security. Question 7. Which of the following encryption methods is specifically used to protect data at rest? The answer is A. File level. File level encryption is used to protect data at rest, which refers to information stored on a device or storage medium and not actively moving across a network. By encrypting individual files, organizations can focus protection on sensitive documents or critical data sets. This approach differs from encryption methods designed for data in transit, which secure information while it is being transmitted between systems. Question 8. Which of the following represents the smallest unit of digital storage? The answer is B. Kilobyte. A kilobyte is tiny compared to many other measurements in the digital storage world. In increasing order, the common units are bit, byte, kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte, and petabyte. Although the bit is the smallest unit overall, for this question, the kilobyte is the smallest unit listed. By understanding these units, you can better estimate storage needs, choose the right devices, and make informed decisions about managing digital data. Question 9. A resident in a rural location has no access to wired connections or cellular towers, but still needs reliable internet service. Which of the following would be the best option? The answer is C. Satellite. Satellite internet is ideal for remote areas where wired infrastructure and cellular coverage are unavailable. It uses satellites in orbit to beam internet connectivity directly to a dish at the user's location, bypassing the need for local cabling or towers. While it may have higher latency compared to wired options, it can still provide reliable access where no other service is practical. Question 10. Which of the following display connection types supports bidirectional data transfer? The answer is D. USB-C. USB-C is a versatile connector that supports bidirectional data transfer, meaning it can both send and receive data through the same connection. It is capable of transmitting video, audio, data, and even power in either direction, and can do so simultaneously. This versatility allows a single cable to replace multiple separate connections, reducing clutter and increasing convenience. Question 11. A technician needs to review a manual while working outdoors in bright sunlight. Which of the following devices would provide the best screen visibility for this situation? The answer is D. E-reader. An e-reader is designed with an e-ink display that mimics the appearance of paper, making it easy to read even in direct sunlight. Unlike backlit screens on laptops, tablets, or smartphones, e-ink screens reduce glare and eye strain outdoors. This makes e-readers the best choice for reading documentation or books in bright environments. Question 12. A company updates its security policy to require all user passwords to include at least 8 characters, with a mix of uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. Which of the following best describes this requirement? The answer is B. Password complexity. Password complexity refers to rules that make passwords harder to guess, by requiring a mix of characters such as upper and lower case letters, numbers, and symbols. Strong complexity requirements reduce the effectiveness of brute force and dictionary attacks. This practice strengthens account security by ensuring passwords are not simple or predictable. Question 13. A design team is using artificial intelligence tools to automatically create and edit images for a project. Which type of AI are they most likely using? The answer is C. Generative. Generative AI is designed to create or modify content, such as images, video, audio, and text. For image editing, it can add new details, apply styles, or even generate entirely new pictures from prompts. This sets it apart from predictive AI, which forecasts outcomes, or assistive AI, which helps with tasks. Generative AI is widely used in creative work because it can quickly produce high-quality, original content. Question 14. Given the following pseudocode, which of the following best represents the type of language being used? The answer is B. Markup. This example uses a markup language, which structures and formats text rather than performing calculations or logic. In this case, the body and paragraph tags are HTML elements that define the body of a page and a paragraph of text. Hypertext Markup Language, or HTML, is a common markup language used to organize content for display on web pages. Unlike scripting or compiled languages that execute instructions, markup languages focus on how content is structured and presented. Question 15. A technician needs to troubleshoot a computer and decides to type specific instructions rather than clicking through menus. Which of the following allows the technician to input commands for the computer to execute? The answer is B. Console. A console, also known as a command line interface, or CLI, is where users can type commands that the computer will execute directly. Unlike a graphical interface, which relies on menus and icons, the console provides text-based control for powerful and precise system management. It is commonly used by IT professionals for tasks like configuring systems, troubleshooting, and running scripts. Question 16. A technician is setting up a new desktop PC and must install input devices so the user can interact with the system. Which of the following should the technician install? The answer is D. Mouse and keyboard. Input devices are hardware components that allow a user to enter data and interact with a computer. The mouse and keyboard are the most common input devices, enabling tasks such as typing commands, navigating interfaces, and selecting items on screen. Other listed options, such as CPU, RAM, or storage drives, are internal components, while printers and speakers are output devices, not input devices. Question 17. Employees in an online forum begin posting the phone numbers and personal email addresses of well-known celebrities. Which of the following security concepts is being compromised? The answer is B. Privacy. Privacy refers to safeguarding personal or sensitive details from being shared without permission. Revealing information such as private phone numbers or email addresses in a public setting violates privacy, since this data could be exploited for spam, harassment, or social engineering attacks. Protecting privacy is essential to maintaining trust and security in both personal and professional contexts. Question 18. A user accidentally downloads an infected file from the internet. Which of the following would best protect the computer in this situation? The answer is C. Anti-malware. Anti-malware software is specifically designed to detect, quarantine, and remove malicious files from a computer. When an infected file is downloaded, anti-malware can scan the file, identify harmful code, and block it from executing, protecting the system from damage. Question 19. A user is comparing two smartphones and wants to know which one has more memory available for running applications. Which of the following units is most commonly used to measure RAM capacity in smartphones? The answer is C. GB. Smartphone RAM capacity is typically measured in gigabytes, or GB for short. Modern smartphones commonly include RAM in the range of 4 to 16 gigabytes, which allows them to run apps smoothly and handle multitasking. Question 20. A technician identifies the cause of a printer issue, applies the repair, and confirms the fix by printing a test page. According to the troubleshooting methodology, which step should the technician take next? The answer is D. Document findings and actions taken. Once the problem has been resolved and verified, the next step in the troubleshooting methodology is to document findings and actions taken. Recording what caused the issue, how it was fixed, and the steps performed creates a valuable reference for future troubleshooting. This documentation strengthens organizational knowledge and helps ensure consistent problem resolution across IT support teams. Question 21. In computing, how many bits are contained in a single byte of data? The answer is C. 8. A byte is made up of 8 bits, with each bit representing a binary value of 0 or 1. This standard unit of measurement is the foundation of digital storage and data representation. Understanding this relationship between bits and bytes is essential for working with file sizes, memory, and storage capacity. Question 22. A user notices slow internet performance and, after checking the router's administrative portal, finds that unauthorized devices are connected to the Wi-Fi network. Which of the following actions would best prevent future unauthorized access? The answer is D. Change the password. Changing the Wi-Fi password is the most effective way to stop unauthorized devices from reconnecting to the network. Once the password is updated, only users with the new credentials will be able to access the Wi-Fi. This step is a key security measure and should be paired with using a strong encryption standard such as WPA2 or WPA3 to further protect the network. Question 23. A user is working on their laptop at a busy coffee shop and is worried it might be stolen if they step away for a moment. Which of the following physical devices would best help secure the laptop? The answer is D. Cable lock. A cable lock physically secures a laptop to a desk or other stationary object, making it much harder for someone to steal the device in a public place. This type of lock works much like a bicycle lock, attaching through a security slot on the laptop. It is one of the simplest and most effective physical security measures for protecting laptops in environments such as coffee shops, libraries, or schools. Question 24. A user is unable to connect from their workstation to another workstation on the same network. Which of the following should be configured to resolve this issue? The answer is B. Firewall. A firewall controls which network traffic is allowed to enter or leave a device. If two workstations cannot connect, the firewall settings may be blocking the communication. Adjusting the firewall to permit the required traffic enables the devices to communicate properly while still maintaining network security. Question 25. A user logs into a company website, but the browser continues to autofill outdated credentials in the login form. Which of the following should the user do first to resolve this issue? The answer is C. Clear the cache. Clearing the cache deletes stored website data that may cause old or outdated login information to reappear in forms. Once the cache is cleared, the browser reloads fresh data from the site, ensuring the latest credentials and content are used. This makes it the first step when troubleshooting login or website display issues. Question 26. A user connects their tablet to the internet through a wireless access point. Which of the following best describes the primary connection type used? The answer is C. 802.11x. The primary connection between a tablet and a wireless access point is through 802.11 wireless standards, commonly referred to as Wi-Fi. This technology enables tablets, laptops, and smartphones to connect to networks without physical cables. The X in 802.11x is a placeholder that represents the specific version of the Wi-Fi standard, such as 802.11n, 802.11ac, or 802.11ax, each offering different speeds, ranges, and performance improvements. Question 27. A project manager needs to visually display the steps of a workflow so the team can easily understand the process. Which type of software should the manager use? The answer is D. Diagramming. Diagramming software is specifically designed to create flowcharts, process maps, and other visual representations of steps in a process. This type of software allows users to organize complex information into simple, easy-to-understand graphics. Question 28. Which of the following numbering systems can represent the decimal value of 24 using only zeros and ones? The answer is C. Binary. Binary is a base 2 numbering system that uses only zeros and ones to represent values. The decimal number 24 is written in binary as 1, 1, 0, 0, 0. This system underpins all computer operations, since processors store and process information in binary form. Other numbering systems can also represent the decimal value of 24, but only binary does so strictly with zeros and ones. Question 29. An employee is working from home and needs to connect securely to the company's internal network over the internet. Which of the following should the employee use? The answer is D. VPN. A virtual private network, abbreviated as VPN, provides secure remote access by encrypting internet traffic between the user's device and the company's internal network. This ensures that sensitive information such as login credentials and business data is protected from interception while traveling across public networks. VPNs are a common solution for employees working remotely who need both secure connectivity and access to internal resources. Question 30. A teacher wants to share lecture material with students in front of the class using slides and visuals. Which of the following types of software would be the best choice? The answer is D. Presentation. Presentation software is designed to display information to an audience in a clear and engaging way using slides, text, images, charts, and multimedia. It allows the presenter to organize materials visually, making it easier for the audience to follow along. This makes it the best choice for situations like lectures, business meetings, or training sessions where information needs to be shared with a group. Question 31. While shopping online, a user wants to confirm that the website is secure before entering credit card information. Which of the following should the user do to check the website's certificate details? The answer is B. Click the lock symbol next to the URL. Clicking the lock symbol in a browser allows the user to view the website's security certificate. This certificate confirms the website's identity and verifies that the connection is encrypted, helping ensure the site is legitimate and safe for sensitive transactions. Checking the certificate is an important step in protecting against fraudulent or malicious websites. Question 32. A network technician is building a custom-length Ethernet cable. After cutting the wire to size, attaching the connector, and crimping it, which tool should be used last to verify the cable works properly? The answer is C. Cable tester. The cable tester is the final tool used when creating a custom-length network cable. After the cable has been cut, the connector attached, and the ends crimped, the tester verifies that all the wires are correctly aligned and that the connection is functional. This step ensures the cable will reliably transmit data before it is put into use, preventing potential connectivity issues later. Question 33. An employee is working from home and experiences issues with their laptop. A systems administrator needs to connect securely to the laptop to fix the problem. Which type of software should the administrator use? The answer is B. Remote support. Remote support software enables IT staff to access and control a user's computer from a different location. By using this software, an administrator can troubleshoot errors, apply updates, or adjust configurations without being physically present. This makes it especially useful for supporting remote workers and resolving technical issues quickly. Question 34. Which of the following numbering systems is used to represent a device's physical address? The answer is D. Hexadecimal. A device's physical address, also known as a Media Access Control or MAC address, is represented in hexadecimal format. A MAC address typically appears as 6 pairs of hexadecimal digits. Hexadecimal is used because it provides a compact and human-readable way to display the underlying binary values that uniquely identify each network interface card. Question 35. Given the following data sequence, which of the following data types are these values an example of? The answer is C. String. When numbers are placed inside quotation marks, they are treated as strings rather than integers or floats. A string is a sequence of characters, which can include letters, symbols, or digits. For example, 10, wrapped in quotations, is stored as the characters 1 and 0 rather than the numeric value 10. This use of quotations for each value makes the entire sequence an example of the string data type. Question 36. A user sends a document from their computer and it produces a physical copy on paper. Which of the following best describes the function of the printer in this scenario? The answer is C. Output. A printer is an output device because it takes processed digital information from a computer and produces a physical representation, such as text or images on paper. Unlike input devices that send information into a system, or storage devices that retain data, output devices present information in a usable form for the user. Question 37. A user wants to back up photos from a smartphone onto a laptop. Which type of cable should be used to transfer the files? The answer is B. USB-C. A USB-C cable provides fast data transfer between a smartphone and a laptop, making it ideal for moving files such as photos. This cable type has become widely used in modern devices thanks to its high speed, reversible design, and ability to handle multiple functions through a single connection. Question 38. A company needs to send sensitive documents over the internet without exposing the contents to unauthorized access. Which of the following should be used to ensure the files are transferred securely? The answer is D. Encryption. Encryption protects information by converting it from plain text into ciphertext, which appears as random, unreadable characters to anyone without the decryption key. Only authorized users with the correct key can transform the ciphertext back into its original form. This process ensures that even if files are intercepted during transfer over the internet, the data remains protected from unauthorized access. By safeguarding sensitive information in transit, encryption is one of the most important methods for ensuring secure file transfers. Question 39. A store owner is writing a program to calculate the total price of items with sales tax included. The code will use the formula, total price equals item price times tax rate. Since the sales tax rate stays the same for all items, which of the following would be the best way to represent tax rate in the code? The answer is C. Constant. The best option for representing tax rate is a constant, because its value remains fixed during the program's execution. Unlike a variable, which can change, a constant ensures the sales tax rate is applied consistently to every calculation. This reduces the risk of accidental errors, improves readability of the code, and makes it easier for others to understand that the value should never be modified. Using constants for fixed values like tax rates is a common best practice in programming. Question 40. A user reports that a program on their computer has frozen and will not close on its own. Which of the following tools should the user open to stop the unresponsive application? The answer is B. Task management. Task management allows users to view and control running applications and processes on a computer. When an application becomes unresponsive, the user can open the task manager, select the frozen program, and force it to close. This tool is essential for troubleshooting software issues and regaining control of the system without needing a full restart. Question 41. A student wants to build a simple, static web page that displays text and images but does not require interactive features. Which of the following language types should the student use? The answer is C. Markup. A markup language structures and presents information by surrounding content with tags that define its meaning or format. HTML, one of the most widely used markup languages, applies this concept to web pages by organizing text, images, and links so they display correctly in a browser. Because markup is intended for structuring content, it is the best choice for creating simple, static web pages that do not require interactive features. Question 42. An employee is working with a company database and needs to pull up specific records, such as all customers from a certain city. Which of the following should the employee use? The answer is D. Query. A query is a request for specific information from a database. It enables users to filter, search, and retrieve only the records that meet certain criteria, such as names, dates, or locations. Queries can be simple, like finding all employees in one department, or complex, combining multiple conditions to refine results. They are a core feature of database systems because they make it possible to efficiently extract meaningful information from large sets of stored data and turn raw data into useful insights. Question 43. A project team needs to store shared data in a way that everyone can access it reliably from different locations. Which of the following is the best option to ensure high availability of the data? The answer is B. Cloud storage. Cloud storage is the best option for enabling high availability of project data because it allows multiple users to access and update files from anywhere with an internet connection. Data stored in the cloud is typically replicated across servers, reducing the risk of data loss and downtime. This makes it especially effective for collaboration, since team members can work on the same project files in real time without worrying about availability. Question 44. An IT administrator wants to create several virtual machines on a single workstation to test different operating systems. Which of the following best describes the technology that makes this possible? The answer is D. Hypervisor. A hypervisor is the virtualization technology that allows multiple virtual machines to run on the same physical workstation. Each virtual machine has its own guest operating system, which is installed and runs independently as if it were on separate hardware. The hypervisor manages how system resources like CPU, memory, and storage are shared among these guest OS environments. This makes it possible to test, develop, or operate multiple operating systems on a single computer. Question 45. While typing a message on a smartphone, a user notices that the predictive text feature suggests words to help complete sentences more quickly. Which of the following technologies is being used for this feature? The answer is C. Artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, or AI for short, powers predictive text by analyzing patterns in language and a user's typing habits to suggest the most likely next words. Over time, the AI adapts to the user's style, improving the accuracy of its predictions. This makes typing faster, more efficient, and more personalized across smartphones, messaging apps, and email platforms. Question 46. A user connects a new multifunction printer to a computer. The printer is detected automatically and can print, but the scan and fax features are unavailable. Which of the following should the user do next to enable all the device's features? The answer is A. Install the full driver package from the manufacturer's website. Installing the full driver and software package from the manufacturer's website ensures that all of a multifunction device's features, such as print, scan, and fax, are fully supported by the operating system. While basic printing may work with the default drivers, the vendor's software provides complete functionality and often includes additional tools for managing the device. This step is essential for accessing all of the advanced features. Question 47. A smart thermostat automatically adjusts the temperature in a house and sends status updates to the user's smartphone app. Which of the following operating system types is the thermostat using? The answer is C. Embedded. An embedded operating system is built directly into a device to control its dedicated functions and interact with connected technologies. In a smart thermostat, the embedded OS manages sensors, processes environmental data, and communicates with the user's smartphone. Because it is optimized for reliability and efficiency, an embedded OS is widely used in IoT devices, appliances, and other specialized hardware. Question 48. A company has received a large spreadsheet of new customer information. The database administrator needs to add this data into the company's existing customer database without manually retyping each record. Which of the following actions should be performed? The answer is B. Import. Importing allows data from an external source, such as a spreadsheet or text file, to be brought into a database. This process makes it possible to quickly add or update large sets of records without manual entry. Importing saves time, reduces errors, and ensures that data from different systems can be integrated into a central database for easier access and management. Question 49. A student is setting up a laptop with a built-in camera for an online class. Upon logging in, the student is able to see the teacher, but the teacher is unable to see the student. Which of the following actions would most likely fix this issue? The answer is B. Update the device driver. Updating the device driver ensures that the built-in camera can communicate properly with the operating system and applications. Outdated or missing drivers often cause problems where the hardware is detected but does not function correctly. Installing the latest driver version typically restores full functionality and resolves issues like the camera not transmitting video. Question 50. An office manager wants to add a shared printer to the company's network so multiple employees can use it. Which of the following must be configured on the printer to complete the installation? The answer is C. IP address. An IP address must be configured on a network printer so it can be uniquely identified and accessed by other devices. The IP address acts like the printer's digital location on the network, allowing computers to reliably send print jobs to it. Once configured, the printer can communicate with other network resources, making it available for multiple users. Without an IP address, the printer would not be able to function as a network device. Question 51. A user is signing into several different websites using the exact same username and password. Which of the following password policies would most likely prevent this practice? The answer is A. Reuse. A password reuse policy prevents users from using the same password across multiple accounts or systems. By requiring unique credentials for each login, this policy reduces the risk that one compromised password could be used to gain access to other websites or applications. Preventing reuse strengthens overall security and limits the damage of credential theft. Question 52. An internet provider offers service that delivers data over the same coaxial lines used for television. Which of the following types of internet service is this? The answer is D. Cable. Cable internet delivers data using coaxial cables, the same lines that carry cable television signals. This allows providers to offer high-speed internet without installing separate infrastructure, often bundling TV and internet over a single line. While cable offers strong performance, its speeds can fluctuate with network traffic, and it is generally not as fast or consistent as fiber internet, which uses dedicated fiber optic connections. Question 53. A user runs several programs at the same time on a computer. Which of the following OS features is responsible for prioritizing a program's use of system resources? The answer is B. Process management. Process management is the OS feature that controls how programs use system resources like the CPU and RAM. It prioritizes tasks, schedules their execution, and ensures that all running processes get the resources they need while keeping the system stable. By managing processes efficiently, the OS allows multiple programs to run smoothly at the same time. Question 54. A computer uses a GPU to handle complex graphics tasks, such as rendering images and videos. Which of the following is the GPU an example of? The answer is D. Processing. A GPU, or graphics processing unit, is an example of a processing component. It is designed to perform rapid calculations required for rendering graphics, video, and increasingly for other parallel processing tasks like AI and data analysis. By handling these operations, the GPU reduces the workload on the CPU and improves overall system performance. Question 55. A developer downloads an application from the internet and plans to change parts of its source code to fit their project needs. Which of the following license types would most likely allow this? The answer is B. Open source. An open source license allows users to view, modify, and redistribute an application's source code. This type of license encourages collaboration and customization, giving developers the freedom to adapt software for their own needs. Unlike proprietary software, where the code is closed and cannot be changed, open source licensing provides the flexibility required for modifying applications. Question 56. An HR intern is learning about how to properly protect sensitive employee records. Which of the following is an example of PII? The answer is A. Full name and date of birth. Personally identifiable information, or PII, refers to any data that can be used to identify an individual either directly or indirectly. Because this type of information uniquely ties back to a person, protecting it is critical for maintaining privacy and security. If PII is exposed or stolen, it can be exploited for identity theft, financial fraud, or other malicious activities that can cause serious harm to individuals. Question 57. Given the following pseudocode, which logic concept is being demonstrated? The answer is D. Branching. Branching is a programming concept that allows code to make decisions and follow different paths, depending on conditions. It works by evaluating a statement and then choosing which set of instructions to execute based on the outcome of that evaluation. This enables programs to react differently to various inputs or situations instead of always running the same sequence of steps. Branching is essential for building logic, handling exceptions, and creating decision-making capabilities in software. Question 58. A user visits a website and notices that new browser windows keep opening automatically with advertisements. Which of the following browser features should the user enable to prevent this behavior? The answer is A. Pop-up blocker. A pop-up blocker is a browser feature that prevents unwanted windows or tabs from opening automatically while browsing. Enabling it helps reduce intrusive advertisements and enhances security by blocking potential malicious pop-ups. This feature provides a smoother, safer browsing experience without constant interruptions from external content. Question 59. A gaming company is demonstrating a headset that immerses players in a 3D environment where they can look around and interact with objects as if they were physically inside the game. Which of the following devices is being used? The answer is C. VR system. A virtual reality, or VR system, uses a headset and sensors to immerse users in a simulated 3D environment. By tracking head and sometimes hand movements, VR systems make it possible to interact with digital objects in a way that feels lifelike. VR is commonly used in gaming, training simulations, and design applications where immersive experiences are beneficial. Question 60. A student is storing a small contact list in a spreadsheet file. Which of the following is an advantage of using a flat file for this type of small dataset? The answer is A. Speed. For small datasets, such as a contact list stored in a spreadsheet, a flat file offers the advantage of speed. Data can be quickly entered, saved, and retrieved without the complexity of a full database system. The simplicity of flat files makes them efficient for lightweight tasks where advanced features like scalability, concurrent access, or relational integrity are unnecessary. Question 61. An employee needs to partition a hard drive and format a volume on their computer. Which of the following OS tools should be used to perform this task? The answer is D. Disk management. Disk management is the operating system tool used to configure and manage local storage. It allows users to perform tasks such as creating or deleting partitions, formatting drives, resizing volumes, and assigning drive letters. This tool provides control over how storage devices are organized and prepared for use, making it essential for setting up hard drives, SSDs, or external storage. Disk management is especially useful when installing a new drive or reconfiguring existing storage to meet system or user needs. Question 62. A technician is comparing two computers to determine which one can process instructions faster. Which of the following units is used to measure the speed of a CPU? The answer is D. Gigahertz. Gigahertz is used to measure the speed of modern CPUs, showing how many billions of cycles a processor can complete per second. A higher gigahertz rating usually means the CPU can process instructions more quickly, improving overall performance. In older processors, megahertz was commonly used, which measured speed in millions of cycles per second, but today gigahertz has replaced it as the standard measurement. Question 63. A technician is reviewing log files to see how many times a particular user has logged into the network. Which of the following security concepts does this represent? The answer is C. Accounting. Accounting is the security concept that involves tracking and logging user activity, such as login attempts, resource usage, or time spent on the network. By keeping detailed records, administrators can review actions taken by users, monitor for unusual behavior, and support auditing requirements. This process helps maintain accountability and ensures that user activity can be traced when needed. Question 64. An online retailer sells customer purchasing history to advertising companies for profit. Which of the following concepts does this best represent? The answer is A. Data monetization. Data monetization is the process of turning data into revenue, either by selling it directly or using it to create new value for the business. In this scenario, customer purchasing history is treated as a financial asset that can be sold to advertising companies. This demonstrates how organizations can profit from data, while also raising concerns about customer privacy and responsible data handling. Question 65. A company compiles and organizes its data into reports that executives use to guide business strategies and make informed decisions. Which of the following best describes this process? The answer is D. Meaningful reporting. Meaningful reporting is the process of turning raw data into organized, useful information that decision-makers can understand and act upon. By presenting data in a clear format, such as charts or summaries, companies provide leadership with insights that directly influence strategy and planning. This process helps transform large amounts of data into actionable knowledge that drives effective decision-making. Question 66. An employee plugs a USB flash drive into their work computer, but the system does not detect the device. Which of the following is the most likely cause of this issue? The answer is A. Disabled port. A disabled USB port prevents the system from recognizing a USB device when it is plugged in. In corporate environments, IT administrators often disable USB ports through system settings or security policies to protect against unauthorized data transfers and malware. If the port has been disabled, the USB flash drive will not appear or be usable on the computer. Additionally, USB locks may be used as a physical security measure to block access to the ports entirely. Question 67. A security administrator wants to confirm that a user has successfully signed into a company's web application. Which of the following should be checked to verify the user was authenticated by the web server? The answer is B. Account logs. Account logs record authentication events, such as successful and failed login attempts. By checking these logs, administrators can verify that a user was authenticated by the web server and see details of when and how access occurred. These records are also critical for auditing, detecting suspicious behavior, and troubleshooting login problems. Question 68. A technician is upgrading a laptop's storage and installs a component that uses the M.2 form factor. Which of the following devices is being installed? The answer is D. NVMe. NVMe drives often use the M.2 form factor, which is a compact, high-speed interface designed for solid-state storage. M.2 NVMe drives connect directly to the motherboard, offering much faster performance than traditional SATA-based SSDs or HDDs. The small size of M.2 makes it especially useful in laptops and modern desktops where space and speed are both important. Question 69. A project manager is reviewing a flowchart that maps out the steps of a business process. One of the shapes in the diagram is a diamond. Which of the following does the diamond represent in a flowchart? The answer is D. Decision. In a flowchart, a diamond represents a decision point, where the process may continue in different directions depending on the outcome of a condition. It is used to show where choices or evaluations occur within a workflow. This helps clearly illustrate how processes branch based on specific factors. Question 70. A technician is preparing to back up a workstation to ensure important information can be restored if the system fails. Which of the following would be the most important to include in the backup? The answer is C. Application data. Application data must be included in a workstation backup because it contains the user's files, settings, and information created by programs. Even if the software can be reinstalled, the unique data generated by applications would be lost without a backup. Ensuring this data is preserved allows the user to return to normal operation quickly after a system failure. Question 71. Given the following pseudocode, which of the following best describes the data type used? The answer is B. Array. An array is a collection of values stored together that can be accessed or read as needed. In the pseudocode, the data line provides a series of numbers grouped together, which the program reads into variables during execution. This sequence of stored values represents an array, making it the best description of the data type being used. Question 72. A developer is writing low-level code to directly control hardware functions while creating a device driver. Which of the following programming languages would most likely be used for this task? The answer is C. Assembly. Assembly language is a low-level programming language that gives programmers precise control over CPU instructions and memory. Because of this, it is often used to write device drivers, firmware, and other hardware-level applications. Unlike higher-level languages, assembly is closely tied to machine code, making it uniquely suited for hardware control. Question 73. A programmer wants to ensure their application runs as efficiently as possible during runtime. Which of the following language types should the programmer use? The answer is B. Compiled. A compiled language is converted into machine code before execution, which allows the program to run more efficiently at runtime. Since the code is already translated into instructions the CPU can understand, it avoids the overhead of interpretation. This makes compiled languages faster and better suited for performance-critical applications. Question 74. An employee connects a wireless router in the front office but notices that the Wi-Fi signal is very weak when trying to connect from the storage room in the back. Which of the following is the most likely cause of the issue? The answer is A. Interference. Interference happens when physical barriers or objects, such as walls, shelving, or equipment, block or weaken a Wi-Fi signal. In a small office, signals may struggle to pass through multiple walls or large storage areas, resulting in poor connectivity. Other electronic devices, such as microwaves, cordless phones, or neighboring Wi-Fi networks, can also interfere by operating on the same frequency band. This often causes slower speeds, dropped connections, or dead zones where the signal cannot reliably reach. Question 75. An IT administrator disables access for employees who no longer require entry to a shared project folder. Which of the following security principles is being applied? The answer is C. Least privilege. The least privilege model means giving users only the minimum access necessary to perform their work and removing access when it is no longer required. By restricting file share access to only those who need it, the administrator reduces the risk of unauthorized use or data breaches. This principle is a cornerstone of security best practices and helps maintain confidentiality and proper control of resources. Question 76. A developer is writing code and needs to store a value that can change as the program runs. Which of the following programming concepts should be used? The answer is A. Variable. A variable is a named space in memory used to hold a value that can change during program execution. This allows the program to update, reuse, and manipulate data as needed. Variables are essential to programming because they provide flexibility, making it possible to create dynamic applications that respond to changing inputs or conditions. Question 77. A software developer wants a section of code to repeat until a specific condition is met. Which of the following programming concepts should be used? The answer is A. Loop. A loop is a programming construct that allows a set of instructions to be executed repeatedly until a condition is met or no longer true. This is useful for tasks such as processing items in a list, checking input until valid data is entered, or running calculations multiple times. Loops reduce redundancy by avoiding the need to manually write the same code over and over. Question 78. An organization wants employees to collaborate in real time by hosting online meetings with video and audio. Which of the following applications would best meet this need? The answer is D. Conferencing. Conferencing software allows multiple users to connect over the internet for live meetings, typically including video, audio, and screen sharing. This enables real-time collaboration regardless of the participant's physical location. Tools like Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or Google Meet are common examples of conferencing software. Question 79. An office has several computers connected within the same building, allowing users to share files and printers. Which of the following best describes this type of network? The answer is C. LAN. A local area network, or LAN, connects computers and devices in a limited area, such as a single building or office. LANs allow for fast communication, resource sharing, and centralized management. This setup is commonly used in homes, schools, and businesses where users need to share files, printers, or applications. Unlike WANs, which cover larger geographic areas, LANs are designed for high speed and reliability within a smaller space. Question 80. In programming, which of the following data types is used to represent a single character such as a letter, number, or symbol? The answer is C. Char. A char, short for character, is a data type used to store a single symbol, such as a letter, digit, or punctuation mark. It is distinct from a string, which is made up of multiple characters grouped together. Using char allows a program to efficiently handle individual symbols when processing text or data. Question 81. A developer needs to store phone numbers in a database. Which of the following data types would be most appropriate to use? The answer is A. String. A string is the best data type for storing a phone number because it treats the value as a sequence of characters rather than a numeric calculation. Phone numbers often include leading zeros, spaces, dashes, or parentheses that must be preserved. While you might consider using the integer data type, this can cause problems since this data type removes leading zeros and does not handle special characters well. By storing phone numbers as strings, the format remains accurate and consistent across systems. Question 82. Which of the following peripherals can function as both an input and an output device? The answer is B. Touch screen. A touch screen is considered both an input and output device because it displays information to the user while also registering touch commands. Touch screens are commonly used in smartphones, tablets, kiosks, and point-of-sale systems. Their ability to handle both input and output simplifies device design and improves interactivity. Question 83. Which of the following methods ensures that only authorized users with the correct key can access the contents of a file? The answer is D. Encryption. Encryption secures a file by converting its data into unreadable code that can only be unlocked with the correct decryption key. This ensures that only authorized users can view the information, even if the file is intercepted or copied. Because of this strong protection, encryption is widely used for safeguarding sensitive documents, emails, and financial transactions. Question 84. A database administrator designs a new database that organizes information into tables with rows and columns, and sets a primary key to uniquely identify each record. Which type of database has been created? The answer is C. Relational. A relational database organizes data into structured tables that use rows and columns, with a primary key uniquely identifying each record. This structure allows efficient querying, updates, and relationships between different tables. Relational databases are widely used in business systems, such as customer records or inventory management, because they provide accuracy and scalability. Question 85. Given the following pseudocode, which of the following best represents line 10? The answer is D. Loop. Line 10 is a for loop because it repeatedly executes the block of code between the for and next statements. In this example, the loop prints the value of x as it counts down from 10 to 1. For loops are commonly used when the number of repetitions is known in advance, making them one of the most basic and essential programming structures. Question 86. A homeowner is frustrated with slow internet speeds when streaming movies, and decides to upgrade to the fastest residential option available in their area. Which of the following services would best meet this need? The answer is D. Fiber optic. Fiber optic internet is the fastest residential option because it uses light signals sent through glass fibers to transmit data at extremely high speeds. It can easily exceed gigabit speeds, making it ideal for demanding tasks such as 4K streaming, competitive online gaming, and large file transfers. Fiber also offers low latency and consistent performance, giving it a clear advantage over cable, DSL, or satellite connections. Question 87. A user is working on a large spreadsheet, but the computer suddenly loses power before the file is saved. When the workstation is restarted, the unsaved data is gone. Which of the following components was reset when the computer was turned off? The answer is C. RAM. Random access memory, or RAM, is a type of volatile memory, meaning its contents are cleared when the computer loses power or is shut down. This is why unsaved work disappears if it has not been written to a storage device like an SSD or hard drive. RAM provides fast temporary storage for active programs and data, but it cannot retain information without power. Question 88. A user is deciding between several hard drives for storing large media files. Which of the following options would provide the greatest storage capacity? The answer is A. 3 terabytes. A 3 terabyte hard drive has the largest capacity among the listed options. 1 terabyte equals roughly 3,000 gigabytes, which is far greater than megabytes or kilobytes. Question 89. A developer designs a program where an object needs to fetch order details from a sales database. Which part of the object is responsible for performing this action? The answer is B. Method. A method is the part of an object that performs an action, such as retrieving order details from a database. In object-oriented programming, methods define the behavior of an object. By using methods, developers can organize code into reusable actions tied directly to objects. This makes programs easier to manage, update, and scale. Question 90. A help desk technician suspects that a faulty driver is causing frequent application crashes. According to the troubleshooting methodology, what should the technician do immediately after identifying this possible cause? The answer is A. Test the theory. The next step after identifying a potential cause is to test the theory to confirm whether it is correct. Troubleshooting methodology follows a structured sequence: identify the problem, establish a theory, test that theory, and only then create a plan of action. Testing ensures that time and resources are not wasted on a solution that doesn't address the real issue. This systematic approach improves accuracy and efficiency in resolving technical problems. Question 91. A student logs into an online learning portal and clicks a link to open a practice quiz. Instead of the quiz appearing in a new window, nothing happens. Which of the following browser settings should the student adjust to access the quiz? The answer is C. Pop-up blocker. A pop-up blocker prevents websites from automatically opening new windows or tabs. While this protects users from intrusive ads, it can also block legitimate content such as quizzes, reports, or login prompts. To fix the issue, the student must change the pop-up blocker settings to allow the site's pop-ups. Question 92. A user notices their computer slows down significantly when they open several applications at once, such as a web browser, email client, and spreadsheet program. Which of the following components is most likely responsible for this performance issue? The answer is D. RAM. Random access memory, or RAM, is responsible for holding active applications and data that the CPU needs quick access to. If there is not enough RAM available, the system slows down because it must rely on slower storage as overflow space. This is why performance issues are common when multiple programs are running on a device with limited RAM. Adding more RAM can improve multitasking and overall system responsiveness. Question 93. A technician asks a student to provide the MAC address of their laptop's network interface card. Which of the following is a valid MAC address? The answer is A. A47CDB921F36. A valid media access control, or MAC address, is commonly written as 6 pairs of hexadecimal characters separated by colons or dashes, such as A47CDB921F36. Each hexadecimal character represents 4 bits, giving the address a total length of 48 bits. This standardized format uniquely identifies a device's network interface card on a local network. Question 94. An employee needs to deliver a 50-gigabyte presentation file to a teammate across the building, but the office network is temporarily unavailable. Which of the following is the most practical way to transfer the file? The answer is B. Flash drive. A flash drive is the most practical option for transferring a large file when the network is unavailable. Flash drives can store large amounts of data, are portable, and do not rely on internet or network connectivity. This makes them ideal for quickly moving files between devices in the same physical location. Question 95. A computer science instructor explains that programmers often use simplified, human-readable steps to outline how a program should work before writing the actual code. Which of the following terms best describes this practice? The answer is D. Pseudocode. Pseudocode is a way of writing out program logic in plain, human-readable language without worrying about syntax rules. It helps programmers plan and communicate their ideas before converting them into actual code. By using pseudocode, developers can focus on problem-solving and structure rather than specific programming commands. Question 96. An office worker tries to update a device driver on their Windows PC. A prompt appears, requesting a username and password. After entering their own credentials, the employee receives an access denied message and cannot proceed. Which type of account access is most likely required to complete the update? The answer is B. Administrator. Administrator access is required to make system-level changes, such as installing software, updating drivers, or modifying key settings. Standard user accounts are restricted to protect the system from unauthorized or accidental changes. By requiring elevated permissions, the operating system ensures only trusted users can perform actions that affect overall system stability and security. Question 97. An employee is tasked with creating a formal company letter that includes paragraphs of text, a company logo, and formatted headers. Which type of application is best suited for this task? The answer is C. Word processing software. Word processing software is designed for creating, editing, and formatting text-based documents. It allows users to add elements like fonts, headers, tables, and images to produce professional documents such as letters, reports, and resumes. This makes it the most appropriate tool for handling tasks that involve writing and formatting text. Question 98. A computer science teacher asks students to compare how the decimal value 12 is represented in different notational systems. Which of the following systems would represent this value using the fewest characters? The answer is C. Hexadecimal. Hexadecimal uses base 16, which allows larger values to be represented with fewer characters. The number 12 in decimal is written as C in hexadecimal, requiring only one character. In comparison, 12 is 1, 1, 0, 0 in binary, 1, 4 in octal, and X, I in Roman numerals. Because each digit in hexadecimal can represent up to 16 distinct values, it often provides the most compact representation. Question 99. A user is shopping for a new gaming monitor and compares specifications that includes refresh rate. Which of the following units of measurement would the refresh rate be listed in? The answer is D. Hertz. Hertz is the unit of measurement used to describe a monitor's refresh rate, meaning how many times per second the screen refreshes the displayed image. A higher refresh rate, such as 120 Hz or 144 Hz, produces smoother and more fluid motion compared to standard 60 Hz displays. This is especially valuable in gaming, where fast-moving graphics benefit from reduced blur and improved responsiveness. Because of this, Hertz is one of the key specifications gamers look at when selecting a monitor. Question 100. Which of the following is a valid IPv4 address? The answer is D. 192.168.1.110. A valid IPv4 address is written as 4 decimal numbers separated by periods, with each number ranging from 0 to 255. 192.168.1.110 follows this format, making it a correct IPv4 address. Option A is a MAC address, B is just a string of digits without periods, and C incorrectly uses colons instead of periods. Question 101. A database is being designed to record the total number of books checked out from a library. Which of the following data types is most appropriate for storing this value? The answer is C. Integer. An integer is used to store whole numbers, making it the most appropriate data type for tracking the number of books checked out. Because integers do not include decimals, they are ideal for representing whole number totals or counts. This ensures the value remains accurate without adding unnecessary complexity. Question 102. A programmer is reviewing different numbering systems and needs to identify which value is written in hexadecimal notation. Which of the following best represents a hexadecimal value? The answer is C. 3F7A. Hexadecimal notation uses base 16, which allows digits 0 through 9, as well as the letters A through F. The value 3F7A is valid because it only contains characters within this range. Hexadecimal is often used to simplify binary representation, making it easier to read items such as memory addresses, MAC addresses, and hex color values in computing. Question 103. Given the following pseudocode, which of the following programming concepts does Y represent? The answer is B. Variable. In this pseudocode, Y is a variable because it stores a user's input and can be updated during program execution. After the user enters a value, Y is increased by 2 and then evaluated in a conditional statement. This demonstrates how variables hold data that can change and be used in calculations or decisions within code. Question 104. A technician is assembling a desktop PC and installs the hardware required for the computer to connect to a wired Ethernet network. Which of the following components provides this physical network connection? The answer is A. NIC. A network interface card, or NIC, enables a computer to connect to a network by providing the hardware interface for communication. A NIC can be either wired, using an Ethernet port, or wireless, using built-in Wi-Fi capability. In both cases, it allows the device to send and receive data on a network. Without a NIC, the computer cannot directly connect to other systems over a network. Question 105. A user calls the help desk and reports that their laptop will not connect to the office Wi-Fi. The technician begins by asking the user questions about when the issue started, whether other devices are affected, and what error messages appear. Which step of the troubleshooting methodology is the technician performing? The answer is B. Identify the problem. The first step in troubleshooting is to identify the problem by gathering information about the issue. In this step, technicians ask questions, observe symptoms, and confirm the scope of the problem before moving on to subsequent steps. Question 106. A company needs a central system to manage user accounts, share files, and host applications for employees across the network. Which type of computing device is best suited for this purpose? The answer is C. Server. A server is a powerful computer designed to provide resources, services, and data to other devices over a network. Servers are commonly used to manage user accounts, host applications, share files, and store data centrally. Unlike personal computing devices, servers are optimized for reliability, scalability, and continuous operation. Question 107. An individual wants a device that tracks daily steps, monitors heart rate, and provides notifications from their smartphone all while being lightweight and portable. Which type of computing device best meets this need? The answer is B. Wearable device. A wearable device is designed to provide computing functions such as health tracking, notifications, and integration with smartphones, all in a compact and portable form. Examples include smartwatches and fitness trackers. These devices focus on convenience and continuous monitoring, making them different from larger portable computing devices like smartphones, tablets, or laptops. Question 108. Which of the following components serves as the main circuit board in a computer, allowing the CPU, memory, storage, and expansion cards to communicate with each other? The answer is C. Motherboard. The motherboard, also called the system board, is the main circuit board that connects and coordinates all major computer components. It provides pathways and connectors for the CPU, RAM, storage, and expansion cards to work together. Without the motherboard, the individual parts of a computer cannot function as a complete system. Question 109. A user purchases a desktop computer that has no built-in Ethernet connectivity but needs to be able to connect to an office network using a provided RJ45 jack. Which of the following types of NIC would be the most appropriate choice? The answer is B. Wired expansion card. A wired NIC is required because the office network uses an RJ45 jack, which supports physical Ethernet connections rather than wireless signals. Additionally, an expansion card NIC is necessary because the desktop lacks a built-in Ethernet port, so the hardware must be added through a motherboard expansion slot. Installing an expansion card provides the missing connectivity and allows the computer to join the wired office network seamlessly. Question 110. A student wants to back up lecture videos onto disks that can be played in a DVD or Blu-ray player. Which of the following storage types would best meet this need? The answer is D. Optical. Optical storage uses disks such as CDs, DVDs, and Blu-ray disks to store data that can be read with a laser. These disks can hold a wide range of content, from simple text files to large video files, depending on their format and capacity. Optical disks are well suited for distributing movies, music, and software because it is inexpensive, portable, and compatible with many standalone players and drives. It can also be used for backups, though its storage capacity and transfer speeds are limited compared to more modern storage options. Question 111. A technician is asked to upgrade a computer with a storage device that uses magnetic disks to read and write data. Which of the following storage types best matches this description? The answer is B. HDD. A hard disk drive, or HDD, uses spinning magnetic platters to store data, with read/write heads that access information on the disks. HDDs are known for their large storage capacity and lower cost compared to SSDs, but they are slower and more susceptible to failure due to their moving mechanical parts. Question 112. A user complains that their desktop computer loses unsaved work every time the building experiences a brief power outage. Which of the following peripheral devices should a technician install to address this issue? The answer is A. UPS. An uninterruptible power supply, or UPS, provides temporary battery power during a power outage, giving users time to save work and safely shut down equipment. It can also protect against power surges and voltage fluctuations, making it essential for keeping computers and networking devices safe and running during brief interruptions. Question 113. A network administrator needs to upgrade a switch to support fiber connections. Instead of replacing the entire switch, they install a small, hot-swappable module that allows different fiber connector types to be used. Which of the following interfaces is being installed? The answer is C. SFP. A small form factor pluggable, or SFP, is a hot swappable module that allows a network device, like a switch, to support different types of fiber or copper connectors. SFP modules provide flexibility because the same switch can be adapted to multiple network media types without replacing the entire device. Question 114. A technician is setting up an older monitor that relies on an analog interface, which sends separate red, green, and blue color channels to display the image. Which of the following connection types is being used? The answer is C. VGA. Video Graphics Array, or VGA, is an analog display interface that transmits video using separate red, green, and blue channels along with sync signals. Unlike modern digital standards such as HDMI, DisplayPort, or Thunderbolt, VGA is purely analog and commonly found on legacy monitors and projectors. Question 115. A user wants to stream a movie from their smartphone to a smart TV while still using the phone for other tasks. Which of the following technologies would best meet these requirements? The answer is D. Casting. Casting allows a device to send a specific media stream, such as a video or audio file, to a compatible display or speaker. Unlike screen mirroring, which duplicates the device's display, casting lets the user continue using their device independently while the content plays on a TV or other display device. Question 116. An organization keeps sensitive workloads on premises but also uses public cloud resources to handle web applications during peak demand. This combination of private infrastructure and public cloud resources is an example of which deployment model? The answer is A. Hybrid. A hybrid deployment combines on-premises infrastructure with public cloud services to create a flexible computing environment. Sensitive or regulated data can remain securely stored and processed in the local data center, while less critical workloads or applications can take advantage of the scalability and cost efficiency of the public cloud. This model allows organizations to balance security, compliance, and performance while adapting resources quickly to meet changing business needs. Question 117. A startup wants to avoid the expense of purchasing servers and networking hardware. Instead, it rents virtualized computing resources such as storage, processing power, and networking from a cloud provider, while still managing its own operating systems and applications. Which of the following cloud service models is being used? The answer is A. IaaS. Infrastructure as a Service, or IaaS, provides virtualized hardware resources, such as storage, servers, and networking, through a cloud provider. Customers are responsible for managing the operating systems, applications, and data that run on this infrastructure, while the provider maintains the underlying hardware. This model offers flexibility and scalability without the cost of maintaining physical hardware. Question 118. A remote employee needs reliable internet access while traveling and decides to use their smartphone as a mobile hotspot. Which of the following internet service types is being used? The answer is D. Cellular. Cellular internet service uses mobile provider networks to provide wireless connectivity. Users can access the internet directly on their mobile device or share the connection by enabling a mobile hotspot. This makes cellular service ideal for remote work, travel, and areas without wired infrastructure. Question 119. A technician is troubleshooting a small office network. They discover that the device responsible for forwarding traffic between the local area network and the internet is misconfigured. Which type of networking device was found to be at fault? The answer is B. Router. A router is a networking device that directs traffic between different networks, such as a local area network and the internet. It determines the best path for data packets using IP addressing and routing tables, ensuring data reaches its correct destination. Question 120. An administrator wants to block unauthorized external traffic from entering the company's private network while still allowing legitimate communication. Which of the following devices is primarily designed for this purpose? The answer is C. Firewall. A firewall is a security device that monitors and controls incoming and outgoing network traffic based on defined security rules. It acts as a barrier between trusted internal networks and untrusted external networks, such as the Internet. Firewalls can be hardware, software, or both, and are a fundamental part of network defense. Question 121. A small office has 5 computers connected together without a dedicated server. Each computer can share files and printers directly with the others, and all devices are considered equal on the network. Which of the following networking models is most likely being used? The answer is B. Peer-to-peer. In a peer-to-peer network, all devices are considered equal, and each one can act as both a client and a server. This allows users to share files, printers, or other resources directly without needing a centralized server to manage connections. In contrast, a client-server model relies on a dedicated server to provide resources and control access, which makes it more scalable but also more complex than a peer-to-peer network. Question 122. A user sends an email from their laptop, and the message travels through the router, across the internet, and finally arrives at the recipient's computer. Which of the following best describes this process? The answer is C. Network communication. Network communication is the process of data being transmitted between devices, such as computers, servers, or mobile phones, across a network. This allows information like emails, files, and web pages to move from one system to another. Without network communication, devices would not be able to share resources or access the internet. Question 123. A network administrator configures a firewall to allow traffic for HTTPS websites by enabling communication over port 443. Which of the following best describes the purpose of a port in networking? The answer is A. It identifies a specific service or application on a device. A port is a logical identifier that directs network traffic to the correct application or service on a device. For example, port 443 is commonly used for HTTPS traffic, while port 80 is used for standard HTTP. Ports allow a single computer with one IP address to handle multiple types of communication at the same time, such as browsing the web, checking email, and streaming video. By organizing traffic this way, ports ensure data reaches the right destination without conflicts between services. Question 124. A technician is configuring a mail server to send outgoing messages. Which of the following protocol and port combinations should be enabled? The answer is B. SMTP, port 25. The Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, abbreviated as SMTP, is used to send outgoing email messages, and it operates on port 25 by default. Other email-related protocols include POP3 and IMAP, which are used to retrieve messages rather than send them. Knowing which protocol corresponds to which port helps ensure proper configuration of mail servers and firewalls. Question 125. A security analyst notices that files are being transferred between two systems without encryption. Which of the following protocol and port combinations is most likely being used? The answer is D. FTP, port 21. File Transfer Protocol, abbreviated as FTP, operates on port 21 and transfers files without encryption, meaning the data is sent in plain text. This makes it less secure compared to alternatives like SFTP or FTPS, which add encryption for confidentiality. Question 126. A homeowner wants the fastest wireless speeds and the ability to use the new 6 GHz frequency band on a small home network. Which of the following Wi-Fi standards would best meet this requirement? The answer is C. Wi-Fi 6E. Wi-Fi 6E is the newest Wi-Fi standard and expands on Wi-Fi 6 by adding support for the 6 GHz frequency band. This allows for faster speeds, reduced interference, and improved performance compared to older standards such as Wi-Fi 5 or Wi-Fi 4. Question 127. A user applies a setting to reduce the size of files stored on their hard drive, so more documents can fit without adding additional storage. Which of the following file system characteristics is being used? The answer is D. Compression. Compression is a file system characteristic that reduces the amount of storage space that files take up by encoding data more efficiently. This allows more files to be stored on the same drive without physically increasing capacity. While compression saves space, it may require extra processing power when reading from or writing to files because the system must compress and decompress the data to work with it. Question 128. A technician opens Task Manager and sees multiple programs listed as running, each with its own memory and CPU usage. Which of the following best describes what each of these running instances is called? The answer is B. Process. A process is an active instance of a program that is currently running on a computer and has its own memory space and system resources. An application refers to the actual program or software that a user interacts with, such as a browser or word processor. When an application is launched, it creates one or more processes to perform its tasks. This distinction explains why a single application may appear as multiple processes in Task Manager. Question 129. An employee successfully signs into their computer but cannot open a specific shared folder on the network. Which of the following security concepts is preventing access? The answer is A. Authorization. Authorization determines what resources a user is allowed to access after they have been authenticated. In this case, the user has already logged in but is denied access to the shared folder because their account lacks the necessary permissions. This demonstrates how authorization enforces security policies by restricting access to only the data and resources a user is permitted to use. Question 130. A user plugs a new printer into their computer, and the operating system automatically detects it, installs the correct driver, and makes the printer available for use. Which of the following OS functions is being demonstrated? The answer is D. Device management. Device management is an operating system function that controls how hardware devices interact with the computer. The OS uses device drivers to translate instructions between hardware and software, allowing components like printers, keyboards, storage drives, and network cards to work properly. This coordination allows users to reliably connect, configure, and use a wide range of peripherals with minimal effort. Question 131. An employee needs to organize sales data into rows and columns, use formulas to calculate totals, and create charts to display trends. Which type of software would be best for this task? The answer is A. Spreadsheet software. Spreadsheet software is specifically designed for managing data in rows and columns. It allows users to perform calculations with formulas, quickly analyze large sets of information, and create charts or graphs to visualize results. These features make it the best choice for tasks like financial tracking, sales analysis, and budgeting. Question 132. A user wants to browse the internet without saving their search history, cookies, or cached files on the computer. Which browser feature should the user enable? The answer is C. Private browsing. Private browsing is a web browser feature that prevents the saving of history, cookies, cached files, and form data during a session. Once the private window is closed, none of this activity remains stored on the computer. This mode is useful for maintaining privacy on shared devices, though it does not make the user anonymous to websites or internet service providers. Question 133. A user installs an ad blocking extension in their browser but still sees ads on websites. The technician checks the browser settings and confirms the extension is installed. Which of the following is the most likely action needed to make the extension operational? The answer is B. Enable the extension. The most likely reason the ad blocking extension isn't working is that it has been installed but not enabled. Browser extensions must be turned on in the settings before they can function, even if the installation completed successfully. Until enabled, the extension remains inactive and has no effect on web pages. Once activated, the extension integrates with the browser and begins performing its intended task, such as filtering ads from websites. Question 134. A user opens Google Chrome to look up information but notices the results are coming from Bing instead of Google Search. The technician explains that this setting can be changed in the browser. Which of the following web browser features should be modified to resolve the issue? The answer is D. Default search engine. The default search engine is the service a browser uses to perform searches typed directly into the address bar. Changing this setting allows users to choose between engines such as Google Search, Bing, or DuckDuckGo. It's important to note that a web browser is the application used to access websites, while a search engine is the online service that finds and displays results. Question 135. An employee tries to launch a web-based training program but receives an error message stating the application is not supported in their current browser. Which of the following actions should the employee take to resolve the issue? The answer is C. Use a compatible browser. Some applications are designed or tested to work only in specific web browsers. If an application does not load or function properly, switching to a compatible browser often resolves the issue. Different browsers support different web standards and technologies, which can affect whether a program runs correctly. Using the recommended browser ensures the web-based application has the compatibility, performance, and security features it needs to function as intended. Question 136. A system administrator needs to quickly automate renaming a batch of files and cleaning up temporary folders. Which type of programming language is best suited for this kind of ad hoc task? The answer is B. Scripting language. Scripting languages are designed to automate small, repetitive, or ad hoc tasks. Because they are typically interpreted rather than compiled, they are quick to write, test, and run. They are commonly used for system administration, file management, and process automation. This makes them ideal when a fast, lightweight solution is needed without creating a full-scale application. Question 137. A software developer is creating a program to record rainfall measurements, which may include fractional values. Which of the following data types would be the most appropriate for storing these values? The answer is D. Float. A float is a data type used to store numbers with decimal points. It is especially useful for representing fractional values, such as measurements, averages, or financial data. Floats allow for greater precision in calculations by maintaining digits beyond the decimal point. This makes them ideal when exact values are needed instead of rounding to whole numbers. Question 138. Which of the following best describes a Boolean data type? The answer is C. True-false. A Boolean is a data type that can only store one of two values, true or false. It is used in programming to represent binary outcomes, such as on and off, yes and no, or success and failure. Booleans are fundamental in decision-making logic because they allow programs to evaluate conditions and control the flow of execution. Question 139. A developer is building an application that needs to calculate the total price of an online order each time a customer checks out. Instead of writing the same code multiple times, the developer creates a reusable block of code that performs this calculation whenever called. Which of the following programming concepts is being used? The answer is A. Function. A function is a reusable block of code designed to perform a specific task. Instead of rewriting the same instructions in multiple places, the developer can call the function whenever the calculation is needed. Functions make programs more organized, efficient, and easier to maintain by grouping related instructions into a single unit. Question 140. Given the following pseudocode, which of the following best describes the purpose of line 30? The answer is B. It is a comment used for documentation. Line 30 uses the REM statement to create a comment, which is text included in code for documentation and explanation purposes. Comments do not affect how the program runs, they exist to help developers and others understand the logic of the code. Different programming languages use different symbols or keywords for comments, such as a double / in Java or hashtag in Python. Including comments makes programs easier to read, maintain, and troubleshoot. Question 141. Which of the following best describes data correlation? The answer is C. Relationship between data sets. Data correlation refers to identifying and analyzing the relationship between two or more data sets. It helps reveal trends, patterns, or connections that may not be obvious when looking at the data separately. Correlation adds value by turning raw data into meaningful information for decision-making. Question 142. Which of the following best describes big data? The answer is B. Large and complex data sets. Big data refers to very large and complex data sets that traditional tools struggle to manage. It is commonly defined by the 5 V's: volume, variety, velocity, veracity, and value. Question 143. Which of the following is not a benefit of using a database compared to a flat file system? The answer is A. Data duplication. Databases provide several benefits over flat file systems, including support for multiple concurrent users, scalability, faster speed, and the ability to handle a variety of data. They also improve consistency, reduce errors, and offer centralized management and security. Flat file systems, however, often lead to data duplication, which is a drawback rather than a benefit. Question 144. A database administrator is planning a new system and creates a design showing the tables, fields, and how they relate to one another before any data is entered. Which database concept is being applied in this scenario? The answer is C. Schema. In this scenario, the administrator is working on the schema, which serves as the blueprint of a relational database. A schema defines the logical structure, including the tables, fields, and relationships, before actual data is stored. This design step ensures the database is organized, consistent, and ready to handle information efficiently. Question 145. A college database has one table for students and another table for courses. To link each student to the courses they are enrolled in, the administrator adds a column in the courses table that refers to the primary key in the student's table. Based on this scenario, which database concept is being applied? The answer is D. Foreign key. A foreign key is a field in one table that refers to the primary key in another table, creating a relationship between them. In this scenario, the column in the courses table points back to the student's primary key in the student's table. Foreign keys enforce referential integrity, ensuring that records in one table always correspond to valid entries in another. Question 146. A database administrator is creating a table for employee records and wants to ensure that no two employees can be entered with the same employee ID number. Which database feature should be used to enforce this rule? The answer is B. Unique constraint. A unique constraint ensures that no two rows in a table can have the same value in a specific column. This maintains data integrity by preventing duplicates, such as two employees being assigned the same employee ID. While similar to a primary key, which also enforces uniqueness, a table can only have one primary key but may include multiple unique constraints on different columns. Question 147. Which of the following does a NoSQL database commonly use to organize data? The answer is B. Key value. NoSQL databases are non-relational databases, meaning they do not rely on the traditional table and row structure of relational systems. Many NoSQL databases organize data using a key value model, where each unique key is paired with its corresponding value. This approach makes them more flexible than relational databases, which require predefined schemas and strict relationships. Question 148. Which of the following is not one of the three core principles of the CIA triad used in database security? The answer is D. Authorization. The CIA triad stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. These three principles form the foundation of information security by protecting sensitive data from unauthorized access, ensuring data remains accurate and trustworthy, and making sure systems and data are accessible when needed. Question 149. In which of the following situations should a person reasonably expect their information to remain private? The answer is C. Entering personal details into a school's secure registration website. An expectation of privacy applies when personal information is submitted through a trusted and secure system. In this case, entering details into a school's official registration website creates that expectation because the data is sensitive and should be handled confidentially by the institution. Question 150. A company in Europe collects customer data such as names, addresses, and payment information. Which regulation requires the company to protect this personal data and give customers rights over how it is used? The answer is A. GDPR. The General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, is a European law that protects personal data and privacy. It requires organizations to safeguard customer information, be transparent about how it is used, and give individuals rights such as accessing or deleting their data. GDPR applies to any business handling the personal data of EU residents, regardless of where the business is located. Question 151. A user receives an email that appears to be from their bank, asking them to click a link and enter their account login information. Which type of security threat is this most likely an example of? The answer is C. Phishing. Phishing is a type of social engineering attack where an attacker pretends to be a trusted source, such as a bank, to trick users into providing sensitive information. It is most often carried out through fraudulent emails that encourage the user to click a link or enter personal details. The attacker's goal might be to steal login credentials, financial information, or other private data. Question 152. A user is installing a new application and is asked to type in a unique code made up of letters and numbers with hyphens between sections. What is the installation process most likely requesting? The answer is B. Product key. A product key is a unique alphanumeric code used during software installation to prove that the copy of the software is genuine. It ensures that only licensed users can install and activate the program. Product keys are commonly requested before completing the setup of commercial software. Question 153. A user forgets their login password and clicks the Forgot Password link on a website. The system sends them an email with instructions to create a new password. Which of the following best describes this process? The answer is D. Password reset. A password reset process allows a user to securely create a new password when the original one is forgotten or compromised. Best practices include sending reset instructions only through trusted channels, such as a registered email or verified phone number, to confirm the user's identity. The process should also require the creation of a strong, unique password that has not been used before. This helps maintain account security while restoring access to the system. Question 154. Which of the following best describes plain text? The answer is D. Unencrypted, human-readable data. Plain text refers to unencrypted, human-readable data. It can be easily viewed without the need for a decryption key or specialized software. Because plain text is not protected, sensitive information such as passwords or personal details should never be stored or transmitted in this format. Question 155. A home user sets up a wireless router and secures it with a password that must be entered by anyone connecting to the Wi-Fi. Which of the following authentication methods is being used? The answer is A. Pre-shared key. A pre-shared key, or PSK, is a shared password used to authenticate devices on a Wi-Fi network. It is often used in home and small office networks where all users enter the same key to connect. While simple and convenient to set up, PSK is less secure in larger environments because the same password is shared among many users. Question 156. An organization is setting up a file server and needs a large amount of storage while keeping costs low. Which of the following storage types would be the best choice? The answer is D. HDD. A hard disk drive, or HDD, is the best choice for a cost-conscious file server because it provides large storage capacity at a relatively low price. While it does not offer the fastest performance, HDD technology is affordable, making it well-suited for environments where storing large amounts of data is more important than speed. Question 157. Which of the following graphic device connectors provides the best support for high-definition audio and video? The answer is A. HDMI. High-Definition Multimedia Interface, or HDMI, is a connector that carries both high-definition video and digital audio in a single cable. It is widely used with monitors, projectors, TVs, and modern computers to deliver sharp images and clear sound. Its ability to transmit high-quality video and audio together makes it a popular choice among common graphic device connectors. Question 158. A technician is explaining storage sizes to a new computer user. The user asks how many megabytes are in 1 gigabyte. Which of the following is the correct answer? The answer is C. 1000. 1 gigabyte is equal to 1000 megabytes in the decimal system commonly used for storage. In this system, each unit is 1000 times larger than the previous one. 1 kilobyte is 1000 bytes, 1 megabyte is 1000 kilobytes, and 1 gigabyte is 1000 megabytes. This standardized scale makes it easier to explain and compare storage sizes. Question 159. An end user reports that their desktop computer will not connect to the internet. The help desk technician asks the user to confirm that the network cable is securely connected, the Wi-Fi switch is turned on, and the router has power. Which of the following troubleshooting steps is being applied? The answer is A. Question the obvious. The technician is in the step of establishing a theory of probable cause, which includes questioning the obvious. By checking basic issues such as power, connections, or switches, the technician is ruling out simple causes before moving on to more complex possibilities. This step ensures that time isn't wasted troubleshooting advanced problems when the solution may be straightforward. Question 160. When comparing the 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz frequency bands in Wi-Fi networks, which of the following statements is accurate? The answer is B. The 5 GHz band supports faster speeds but has a shorter range. The 5 GHz band in Wi-Fi networks provides higher data transfer speeds but sacrifices range because its signals do not travel as far and are more easily absorbed by walls and obstacles. In contrast, the 2.4 GHz band offers wider coverage and better penetration through barriers, though at slower speeds. Understanding this trade-off helps when choosing which frequency to use in different environments. Question 161. A coffee shop wants to provide free Wi-Fi for customers but requires them to log in or accept terms of service before getting internet access. Which of the following solutions would best meet this requirement? The answer is B. Captive portal. A captive portal is a web page that users must interact with before gaining access to the internet. It is often used in public places like coffee shops, airports, and hotels to require acceptance of an acceptable use policy. This ensures that users agree to the rules for appropriate network use, such as prohibiting illegal activity or limiting bandwidth-heavy services, before being allowed online. Question 162. A user tries to open a folder on their computer but receives a message stating they do not have the required permission. Which operating system feature is responsible for this restriction? The answer is B. Access control. Access control is the operating system feature that manages file and folder permissions. It defines which users or groups can read, write, or execute files, ensuring that only authorized individuals can use or modify specific resources. This feature helps protect sensitive data and maintain system security. Question 163. Which of the following best describes a database designed to store and organize documents? The answer is D. Non-relational. A non-relational database is designed to store and organize documents, making it more flexible than a traditional relational database. Instead of relying on rows and columns, this type of database allows information to be grouped and retrieved in a way that matches the structure of the stored documents. This flexibility makes non-relational databases especially useful when handling large amounts of information that does not fit neatly into a fixed table format. Question 164. Which of the following is the primary advantage of selecting a mobile device that uses an ARM-based processor? The answer is C. Battery life. ARM-based processors are designed to be power efficient, making battery life the main advantage in mobile devices. By consuming less energy than many traditional processors, ARM CPUs allow smartphones and tablets to operate longer on a single charge. This efficiency is one of the key reasons ARM-based processors dominates the mobile device market. Question 165. Which of the following best describes the purpose of ROM in a computer system? The answer is A. Permanent storage for firmware and system instructions. Read-only memory, or ROM, is a type of non-volatile storage that holds permanent data, such as firmware and essential system instructions. Unlike RAM, the data in ROM is not erased when the device is powered off. This makes it ideal for storing the basic startup code a computer needs to boot and operate reliably. Question 166. Which type of database organizes information into multiple tables and links them together to show relationships between the data? The answer is C. Relational. A relational database organizes information into multiple tables and uses relationships to connect the data. This structure allows data to be stored efficiently while reducing duplication and improving consistency. By linking tables with keys, relational databases make it possible to correlate and query related information across different datasets. Question 167. A technician receives a call from a user reporting internet connectivity problems. After investigation, the technician identifies the root cause of the issue. According to the troubleshooting process, what should the technician do next? The answer is B. Establish a plan of action. Once the root cause of a problem has been identified, the next step in the troubleshooting methodology is to establish a plan of action. This means deciding on the most effective way to correct the issue while minimizing the chance of creating new problems. In many environments, the plan may also need to be reviewed or approved by a manager, supervisor, or change control board before being carried out. Taking this step ensures that the solution is both technically sound and organizationally supported. Question 168. A user wants an easy and secure way to keep track of multiple account usernames and passwords without writing them down or saving them in plain text. Which of the following tools would best meet this need? The answer is A. Password Manager. A password manager is designed to securely organize and store user credentials in an encrypted database. It allows the end user to create strong, unique passwords for each account without needing to memorize them all. Most password managers can also automatically fill in login information and sync credentials across multiple devices, making them both secure and convenient. This helps reduce risky practices such as reusing passwords. Question 169. A small business is deciding between paying for software once upfront or paying a smaller recurring fee to always have the latest version. Which of the following best describes this type of decision? The answer is C. Subscription versus one-time. This situation is an example of choosing between a subscription model and a one-time purchase model for software. A subscription involves paying a recurring fee and typically includes updates and new features as long as the subscription is active. A one-time purchase requires a larger upfront cost but does not provide ongoing updates unless specifically stated. Question 170. Which of the following types of information is most suitable for storage in a document-style database? The answer is C. Social media posts. Document databases are non-relational systems designed to store unstructured or semi-structured information, such as text, posts, or user-generated content. Social media posts are a good example because they vary in length and format but still need to be searchable and organized. This flexibility makes document databases ideal for handling large volumes of information that don't fit neatly into rows and columns. Question 171. A technician installs new equipment and completes the setup by entering the device's network address into a web browser to configure it. Which type of installation method was used? The answer is A. IP-based. An IP-based installation is used when a device is connected to the network and configured through its network address, typically by using a web interface in a browser. This method is common for devices like printers, routers, and other networked hardware. Question 172. An attacker physically cuts the communication lines leading into a data center, preventing internet access to internal servers. This scenario represents which type of security concern? The answer is B. Availability. This is an availability concern because the attack prevents users from accessing systems and services. Availability is one of the 3 core principles of the CIA triad, ensuring resources remain accessible when needed. Disrupting physical communication lines is a direct attack on system uptime and accessibility. Question 173. A company's security policy requires that users cannot reuse their last 5 passwords when creating a new one. This requirement is an example of which password best practice? The answer is D. Password history. Password history prevents users from reusing a set number of their most recent passwords. This policy requires users to create new and unique passwords each time, reducing the risk of repeating or cycling through old credentials. By enforcing this rule, organizations strengthen overall password security and make accounts harder to compromise. Question 174. A user is concerned about attackers taking advantage of software vulnerabilities. Which of the following actions would best reduce the chance of being exposed to new exploits? The answer is B. Remove unnecessary software. Removing unnecessary software reduces the number of applications that could contain vulnerabilities. By keeping only essential programs installed, the system presents fewer potential entry points for attackers. This limits the attack surface and lowers the overall risk of exploitation. Question 175. Operating systems such as iOS and Android are primarily designed for which type of devices? The answer is C. Mobile devices. iOS and Android are operating systems created for mobile devices such as smartphones and tablets. These OS types are designed to support touchscreen interfaces, mobile app ecosystems, and wireless connectivity like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and cellular networks. They provide built-in services such as cameras, GPS, and sensors that are essential for modern mobile applications. Unlike desktop or server operating systems, mobile OS platforms are optimized for portability, battery efficiency, and seamless integration with cloud services and app stores. Question 176. In programming, a while loop repeatedly executes a block of code based on which of the following? The answer is B. The condition being true. A while loop executes its code block as long as the conditional statement evaluates to true. Each time the loop runs, the condition is checked again before the next iteration. When the condition becomes false, the loop stops and the program continues with the next instruction after the loop. Question 177. Which type of computing device is the most likely to require scheduled maintenance windows to apply updates and security patches? The answer is D. Servers. Servers are central to providing shared resources and services, such as databases, email, and web applications. Because so many users and systems rely on them, administrators schedule planned downtime for maintenance to avoid unexpected service interruptions. During this time, patches, security updates, and hardware or software upgrades can be applied safely. This practice ensures the server environment remains secure, stable, and reliable while minimizing disruption to business operations. Question 178. Which of the following would be considered an example of multi-factor authentication? The answer is C. Smart card and pen. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, requires using authentication methods from at least 2 different categories. The 3 main categories are something you know such as a password or PIN, something you have such as a smart card or hardware token, and something you are such as a fingerprint or face scan. A smart card and PIN works as an MFA solution because it combines 2 categories, possession of the card and knowledge of the PIN. Question 179. A company wants to ensure that if an employee's laptop is lost or stolen, the information stored on it cannot be accessed by unauthorized individuals. Which of the following solutions would best protect the data? The answer is B. Full disk encryption. Full disk encryption protects the data stored on a laptop by converting it into unreadable code that cannot be accessed without the correct decryption key. Even if the laptop is physically stolen, the thief cannot view the files without authorization. This makes encryption one of the most effective ways to secure sensitive data on portable devices. Question 180. A technician needs to set up a new printer that supports the plug-and-play feature. Which type of connector would the technician most likely use? The answer is A. USB. Most modern printers that support plug-and-play use a USB connection. With USB, the operating system can automatically detect the printer when it is connected, locate or download the proper drivers, and configure it for immediate use. This eliminates the need for manual setup steps, making installation faster and easier. While other connectors like RJ45 can be used for network printers, USB remains the most common choice for direct plug-and-play installations. Question 181. A technician needs to configure which device a computer should boot from, such as a hard drive, USB drive, or network location. Which system component would most likely be used to make this change? The answer is A. BIOS. The Basic Input-Output System, or BIOS, is firmware that initializes hardware during the startup process and allows technicians to configure system-level settings such as the boot order. By accessing the BIOS setup, a user can choose whether the computer should boot from a hard drive, USB, optical media, or a network device. This makes the BIOS the most common place to configure boot drive selection. Question 182. A user needs to log in and work with a cloud-hosted application. Which type of software would they most likely use to access it? The answer is C. Web browsing software. Web browsing software is the primary tool for accessing cloud-based applications. A browser allows users to connect to online platforms like email services, productivity tools, or file storage through the internet. Without a browser, most web-based cloud applications cannot be reached, making it the most likely software type for this purpose. Question 183. Which of the following computing devices is most likely to have an onboard wireless NIC? The answer is C. Tablet. A tablet is designed for portability and typically includes an onboard wireless NIC for Wi-Fi and sometimes cellular connectivity. Unlike desktops or servers, which commonly rely on wired Ethernet or may require expansion cards for wireless connectivity, mobile devices like tablets and smartphones have onboard wireless NICs to stay connected on the go. This makes tablets the most likely choice from the list to include onboard wireless networking by default. Question 184. Which of the following best explains the function of a NAS device? The answer is B. Provides network storage. A network-attached storage, or NAS device, is designed to provide centralized file storage over a network. Users on different systems can access shared data through the NAS, making it useful for collaboration, backups, and file sharing. Unlike servers, a NAS is dedicated to storage rather than running applications or managing other resources. Question 185. A technician installs a new video card to resolve display problems on a workstation. After installation, the system starts up and the display works properly, so the technician returns it to the user. Later, the user reports that the speakers no longer produce sound. Which troubleshooting step did the technician most likely skip? The answer is D. Verify full system functionality. The technician skipped the step to verify full system functionality. After a repair, it is important to confirm that not only the fixed component works but also that the rest of the system is still functioning correctly. In this case, while the video card installation resolved the display issue, it also caused an unexpected problem with the speakers. Verifying full system functionality would have caught this issue before returning the device to the user. Question 186. Which of the following devices is mainly used with a television to view online movies and shows? The answer is D. Streaming media device. A streaming media device is built to connect to a television and provide access to online content such as movies, TV shows, and music. These devices use internet connectivity to stream content directly from cloud-based services. They are purpose-built for entertainment and differ from general computing devices or networking hardware. Question 187. A user attempts to create a new password of T9 lowercase q exclamation point, but the system refuses to accept it. Which password best practice is the most likely reason for the rejection? The answer is D. Password length. The password T9 lowercase q exclamation point is too short to meet minimum security requirements. Most systems enforce a password length policy that requires at least 8 characters or more to strengthen protection against guessing or brute force attacks. By enforcing longer passwords, organizations make it harder for attackers to break into accounts. Question 188. Which of the following internal components generates the most heat during normal computer operation and is therefore most likely to cause overheating issues? The answer is B. GPU. The graphics processing unit, or GPU, is one of the most heat-intensive components in a computer, especially during demanding tasks like gaming, video rendering, or other graphics-heavy operations. Because GPUs perform large numbers of calculations in parallel, they generate significant heat and require strong cooling. The central processing unit, or CPU, also produces considerable heat during multitasking and heavy processing. Question 189. A help desk technician runs into a problem and wants to know if others in the organization have already documented a solution. What should the technician check first? The answer is B. Research the knowledge base. A knowledge base is a centralized resource of previously reported issues, fixes, and troubleshooting steps. By checking it first, the technician can quickly determine if the problem has already been solved and avoid duplicating effort. Using the knowledge base saves time, ensures consistency, and promotes faster resolution for end users. Question 190. Which of the following computing devices would be used to provide wired network connectivity between multiple computers within the same local area network? The answer is C. Switch. A switch is designed to connect multiple devices on a local area network using wired connections. Switches act as the central point of connection, letting computers, printers, and other devices communicate over the same network. They are essential for building reliable and scalable wired networks, and are widely used in homes, offices, and data centers to provide consistent and dependable connectivity. Question 191. A user upgrades their internet plan from 100 megabits per second to 1 gigabit per second. Which of the following best describes what has increased? The answer is C. Throughput. Throughput is the measure of how much data can be transferred in a given amount of time. It is often used to describe network speed in units such as bits per second. In this scenario, upgrading from 100 megabits per second to 1 gigabit per second increases the throughput, meaning more data can be transferred each second. Question 192. Which of the following best describes attenuation in a wireless network? The answer is B. The reduction of signal strength over distance. Attenuation describes how a signal becomes weaker as it travels over distance. In wireless networking, attenuation is often made worse by walls, interference, or other physical and environmental obstacles. As attenuation increases, the signal loses strength, which can cause slower speeds, poor connectivity, or dropped connections. Question 193. In a relational database, which feature is used to make sure only acceptable values can be stored in a specific column? The answer is A. Constraint. A constraint in a relational database is a rule that restricts the type of data that can be stored in a column. For example, a constraint can ensure that values fall within a certain range, are unique, or match a specific format. This helps maintain accuracy and consistency of the data stored in the database. Question 194. Which of the following best describes the purpose of location tracking as part of device security? The answer is B. Monitors the geographic position of a device. Location tracking is used to monitor the physical position of a device, often through GPS or network signals. It is valuable for security because it allows organizations or users to detect unusual movement, recover lost or stolen devices, and maintain logs of where a device has been used. This supports accountability and helps protect sensitive information. Question 195. Which of the following represents the 4 fundamental functions of a computer system? The answer is D. Input, processing, output, and storage. The 4 fundamental computing operations are input, processing, output, and storage. Input allows data to enter the system, processing transforms the data into useful information, output presents the results, and storage saves data for future use. These 4 steps form the foundation of how all computer systems function. Question 196. Which wireless communication method typically requires 2 devices to be within 6 inches of each other to exchange data? The answer is B. NFC. Near-Field Communication, or NFC, is a short-range wireless technology that allows devices to share information when placed very close together, often within a few inches. It is commonly used for contactless payments, secure identification, and quick data transfers. Unlike Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, NFC is designed for close proximity, low-power communication. Question 197. Given the following table of employee information, which of the following fields best represents a primary key? The answer is A. ID. A primary key is a unique field that identifies each record in a database table. In this example, the ID field uniquely distinguishes one employee from another, while fields like name, year, month, or day could repeat across multiple records. Using a primary key ensures accuracy and prevents duplicate records in the database. Question 198. A technician is assembling custom Ethernet cables and needs a tool to attach RJ45 connectors to the cable ends. Which tool should the technician use? The answer is B. Crimper. A crimper is the tool used to attach connectors, such as RJ45 plugs, to the ends of network cables. It presses the metal contacts inside the connector onto the cable's wires, creating a secure connection. Crimpers are essential when making or repairing custom Ethernet cables. Question 199. A user wants to take a laptop outdoors and still connect to the internet without using a wired connection. Which of the following components would best enable this capability? The answer is C. WLAN card. A WLAN card, also known as a wireless expansion card, provides laptops and other compute devices with the ability to connect to Wi-Fi networks. By installing or enabling a WLAN card, the device can connect to the internet without requiring a cable, making it ideal for portable use outdoors or in areas where wired connections are unavailable. Question 200. An organization requires that employee emails be downloaded to their computers so messages are stored locally and no longer kept on the mail server. Which protocol should be set up in the email client to meet this requirement? The answer is B. POP3. Post Office Protocol 3, abbreviated as POP3, is an email protocol that retrieves messages from the mail server and stores them on the local device. After download, the messages are typically removed from the server, freeing server storage and allowing offline access. This makes POP3 the best choice when emails should not remain on the server. Wow! You have completed 200 questions. How about one more question, as a reward for your hard work? Question 201. A programmer needs a statement to run exactly 100 times in a row. Which programming construct would be the best choice to accomplish this? The answer is D. For. A for loop is used to repeat a block of code a set number of times, making it the best choice when the exact number of repetitions is known, such as 100. A while loop also repeats code but is based on a condition being true rather than a fixed count. If and else are branching constructs, meaning they control the program's flow by choosing different paths of execution, but they do not repeat code multiple times. Congratulations on completing our CompTIA Tech Plus practice exam. Your dedication and effort are truly commendable. With this milestone behind you, you're one step closer to earning your Tech Plus certification. The next step is to register for the official exam and put your knowledge to the test. While you've already accomplished a lot, a bit of extra review never hurts. With that said, feel free to revisit our free training videos or take another round of the practice exam whenever you'd like. It's all about making sure you're fully prepared. And remember, every step you take brings you closer to your goal. So stay confident, give it your best, and remember, we're cheering you on all the way. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more great content.